on AM Extra this morning. A local author has a new book out that you might want to consider for a stocking stuffer this year. It's a fun collection of stories being described as bold and irreverent.
Yeah, sounds pretty fun. So in the books, the Mark Twain Award finalist, Tim O'Leary, has put together some humorous and enthralling stories about the secret life of men. Oh boy, they're going to make the perfect stocking stuffer for the book lover in your life. So joining us on the couch is the man himself, Tim O'Leary. Appreciate you taking the time. Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, a really interesting idea that you have cooked up here. Tell us about the concept behind your book.
Well, it's I had a few years ago introduced a book called Dick Cheney Shot Me in the Face, which was also a collection of stories, and I realized I typically write about men, and as I get older, I had different themes, and they tend to vacillate from dark to humorous. And so these are stories about men that are dealing with how they're aging. I get kind of stuck on certain literary themes. For some reason, snakes. There's a lot of snakes in the book.
Oh, interesting.
If you like snakes or hate snakes.
It's a part of it.
There's a lot of 70s sitcom stars in it. So if you wondered what would happen to the Brady Bunch, one of the premises is, what if the Brady Bunch wasn't a sitcom? What if it was the first reality show?
Oh my gosh!
I have there's stories about themes that I think a lot about. Climate change. There's a story that takes place in Portland that is a darker piece that is sort of about raging, and it's funny, I wrote it a couple of years ago, but now we're in sort of the midst of lots of angry people and lots of angry politicians. There's the final story in the collection is a story I wrote before Donald Trump was elected. I was asked to do a piece for an anthology that was coming out called I'd Been Trumped. And it said, imagine Donald Trump in 10 years. And at the time, nobody really thought he was going to win. And so I wrote a humorous piece about where I thought he might be in 10 years. And then I realized it kind of fits right now. So,
wow.
Really?
To look at it with that lens.
Did your imagining include a trip to the White House? Was that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nobody thought about that. So, but when I looked at a post-era, it seemed to fit. So.
How interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we kind of go around. There's a lot of stories that take place in the Pacific Northwest, and in areas that I frequent a lot here, Montana, California.
I love that. Well, what inspired this idea? Again, men behaving badly. Where it just you hear the title, and my instinct was just like, oh gosh, here we go, buckle up. You know, what inspired this idea for you?
Well, I think part of it is that as a man of a certain generation, and you realize you inadvertently were bad during large parts of your life that you didn't realize.
No.
And I would say that is more sort of caddish behavior. But some of the stories are about men genuinely, doing the wrong thing.
Sure.
It's not all that way. A lot of these stories I had published in different publications. And then when I started to pull them together as a book, I said, oh, there's a theme here.
Okay.
It's all written from a man's perspective. And they're all kind of doing something wrong. Depending. I have one man he's a 100-year-old serial killer.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
I try to find characters that you don't expect.
Interesting common thread there. Well, it's interesting. Your career as a writer was a later chapter for you. So tell us how you kind of got into writing. This was not your first career.
I was in the advertising business here in town with an agency, Rain, for a long time, and worked. I always wanted to be paid for my ideas, and so that was fun. Did a lot of television commercials and was always writing. But about 10 years ago, I got an incorrect diagnosis of cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And it took a few weeks to figure out that I was fine and that my doctor, who I've since fired, was incorrect. But
I'd rather he be wrong that way, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, just kidding, yeah.
And I had been writing, I'd written a nonfiction book that had done pretty well, and I was writing for kind of nonfiction outlets. And then I thought, I want to be a fiction writer. So I actually went back to school and got my MFA.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And started writing, starting with short stories. The Cheney book came out after that. This just came out a couple days ago, and I have another one a comedy about COVID coming out in April.
Oh, wow. So the sequel is not Men Still Behaving Badly. That one's...
No, I have to kind of, I think we've used up that, that part.
I don't know if you can top Dick Cheney Shot Me in the Face for an attention-getting headline, but best of luck with COVID. I'm sure you will find something very clever. I love the collection of short stories, too, as a format, particularly this time of year.
Yeah.
Whether you've got just a few minutes on your way home from work or you're in the airport traveling for the holidays. Fun time to get lost in a good story.
Yeah.
Tim, thanks for joining us this
Thank
morning.
you so much.
Great to
Yeah,
have
really
you
appreciate
here.
it.
You can check out his new book, Men Behaving Badly, and Dick Cheney Shot Me in the Face. Available now. You can find him at Powell's or wherever books are sold.